Mandy from Mandy Jean Chic. I wanted to do a book review, I know, totally different from my channel, on the book I Am That Girl by Alexis Jones. I read this book as part of the Paper and Glam book club with Lisa Marie. I'll include the links for all that stuff below. I'll also include a link for this book below. I love this book and I'm disappointed in this book. Let me tell you why. And the reason why I decided to film a whole video on this is, one, I love empowerment books. I love business books. I love self-help books. For the first, because this took me all month to read because I was reading like 3 pages a day because like the month of May was just stupid busy. Like the first 2 weeks, I liked the book a lot. And then it started feeling like a little, how do I say, a little cheerleader-ish. And let me tell you what I love about this book and then why I got a little disappointed at the end. I had never heard of I Am That Girl. I had never heard of Alexis Jones. I had never heard of this whole, this whole like empowerment phenomenon, I guess is what you call it, with this book. I would rate this book like 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is being fairly generous because I wish I would have read this book when I was 18. Let me give you a little bit of like Mandy Jean history here, just so you guys know. I'll be 32 in August. I'm 31 now. I have a great career. I work for a financial firm I'm branch compliance, what do I call it? Branch compliance manager, I think is my official, hoity-toity title. I love my job. I love my boss. I love my coworkers. One of them actually just retired on Thursday, and it's like my grandma just left, I am going to miss her a lot. I have moments, honestly, when I don't like my job, and it can be stressful, but handling that stress is something I think you learn as you experience stress. I lived in a very, very, very small town in Michigan, like less than 600 people. It was a village, seriously, it was a village. It's not even a town, it's a village. It has like one flashing light. Growing up, my grandparents owned a restaurant, then my mom owned a restaurant, so I grew up working from like the time I could serve coffee to farmers. I don't regret any of that. When I graduated high school, I didn't really go to college right away because it just wasn't for me. I knew from a very, very young age that I wanted to become an entrepreneur, and the women in my life, either they have success being an entrepreneur or they don't. That's for them to decide. It's not for me to decide someone else's success. I think being an entrepreneur is scary. I have a lot of respect for entrepreneurs. But I always knew that's something I wanted to do. And I really I've always had this entrepreneur bug since I was like a wee little Mandy Jean. I was always like selling something to the customers at my mom's restaurant, or making something, or I had some like get rich quick scheme idea from the time I was like little, seriously. To, when I decided that I didn't want to go to college right away, I started working in pharmacy. And I became a lead pharmacy tech when I was like 19. And I decided I wanted to go to school to become a pharmacist. So I started going to school to become a pharmacist. I didn't like that. I'm not a pharmacist. Because the first time I have to tell somebody who has dementia that you can't have your, dementia medications because your insurance won't pay for it, I would buy their damn medications out of my own pocket, because that's just the type of person I am. And my grandfather is the one who taught me how to do that. Thank you, Grandpa, if you're watching this, for being kind and generous. You cost me a lot of money. But I just knew that wasn't for me. So I moved on to district management. And I liked that. That was fun. I got to be bossy because I'm a type A, type awesome personality. I got to be in charge. I got to be the boss lady. I love that. I'm a Leo. I'm a natural. When people call me bossy, like, I just want to say to them, it's leadership skills. Back off. But I worked in district management from the time I was like 20. Seriously, like I was a baby. To the time I was like 22. I was very young, dealing with a lot of very important people, in my job. I've always been that way. I've always been the girl that you can give responsibility to, and I will come through. But I don't like making other people money. I like to make me money. And at the time, my focus when I was like 21 to 22 was I wanted to meet someone, I wanted to get married, I wanted to have a family, and that was basically like all I really wanted. Funny how life changes. I then met Brett, which you guys have seen Brett on some of my videos. I was 22. At 22 years old, I packed up everything I could in my Mustang, quit my job, packed up everything I could in my Mustang, and moved to New Mexico for love. 1,500 miles away from my friends, my family. I never lived out of Michigan. That was me. And that was scary. I don't regret it at all. I mean, that's my story. And I am so thankful to be in New Mexico. I found success. I found friends. I've, found a newfound family, I guess, so to speak. When I paid for my first car before I was, like my first brand new car before I was 30. I bought my first house before I was 25. I've achieved a lot of things, and I'm not like, this isn't like a how great is Mandy Jean video. This is my life, so I can tell you why I agree and disagree with this book. So I found, and working in the job that I work at, I deal with a few affluent clients, and it's taught me a lot. But here's my thing. My entrepreneur bug is biting me again. And that's where my blog and my channel and my shop and stuff like that come in. So let me tell you how I think my life would be different if I would have read this book when I was 18 or 19. I grew up in a very, very poor community called Sunfield, Michigan. It's just farmers, honestly, farmers and GM workers. You live with what you have. You don't live extravagantly. It's just the lifestyle. That's how I grew up. That was what I thought was normal. My family honestly didn't have enough money to send me to college. So anything I did, I had to work for myself. But at the time when I was 18, I don't want to say I didn't have that ambition, but I didn't have that want, because I was so confused about what I wanted to do with my life. I always thought I would take over my mom's restaurant. Well, she sold it. So I was like, well, shit. Where's plan B here? I wish I would have read this book when I was 18, because I think the cheerleader attitude of it would have been very helpful to me. Now, the first chapter of this book, let me just go through it with you guys. The first chapter of this book is called Be a Passionista. And there are an enormous amount of great quotes from this book. And this was actually brought up during book club by everyone who's involved, that they kind of felt like she did a lot of her quotes from Pinterest and Tumblr. I can see that. They had a bigger problem with that than what I did. I think that finding quotes is fine if you attribute them correctly. And in this book, Alexis did not. There was, and I wasn't the only one who caught this, there was, I think it was on this quote right here by Mark Twain, and it's not by Mark Twain. Alexis, aka Miss Trenchcoat, she brought this up, and as soon as she said the guy's name, I was like, oh, that's where I've heard it. And the quote is, life is short, break the rules, forgive quickly, kiss slowly, love truly, laugh uncontrollably, and never regret anything that made you smile. I love that quote, but Mark Twain didn't write it. So, the editor of this book, or the publisher, Evolve, did a very poor job with that. There was another quote in here that Lisa Marie brought up that was from her dad, that wasn't technically from her dad, it was from Jesus. It was from the Bible. Now, I am not religious. I'm not bashing anyone who's religious, it's just not my thing. I'm very spiritual, I believe in God, but as far as like reading the Bible every night, it's just not for me. So I never really would have known that. But she brought that up, and I was like, dang, that's 2. And I know there's more in here. I did take away some good points from this book. Like, for example, Girl Boss. I read that book twice. I love that book, but there are things in that book that I didn't really love either. This book is extremely highlighted in. You know I love a book when I highlight in it, because I do love some of the quotes that she said. Some of the stories, okay. I think that she had good intentions with this book, and I think that this book is amazing for women who are at that crossroads in their life, or need that extra empowerment, or need that extra oomph, or to realize that I'm not alone. There are times that when I was reading this book and I read one of her quotes that, I don't even know if it's from her, or if she just, that's my only thing that, like, I'm really bugged about, is I don't know if some of the quotes that I loved are directly from her. So, like, for one thing that I absolutely loved is when she was talking about time. I value my time. And she said, managing time is an organizational pursuit. Spending time is an expression of your purpose. I love that. There are so many good things about this book that, you can still take away from if you're someone who has achieved life goals. But I also think that some of you may skim through some parts of it. Honestly, I was very disappointed because the I Am That Girl community is pretty big. Honestly. There are a lot of girls who've read this book, who think this book is their Bible. I'll say I enjoy it. I really like this book, I do, but there's a few things I would change in it. I would hope that maybe the editors and the publisher will go back and maybe publish a second edition where they're correcting some of their, very serious mistakes. Sophia from Girl Boss, comparing the two. Sophia from Girl Boss, she started out, like, on a rough road. She really did. And she built this empire of Nasty Gal. I love it. I love those type of stories. Alexis Jones, I don't really know her story, honestly, and to be, almost a little harsh, I'm more concerned with my story, and if that may sound like super arrogant, but, when you're reading a motivational type book, I think whether you agree with it or not, it should make you think. And yes, this book did make me think. Like I said, I highlighted in it. In my planner, let me show you my planner. I always write down book quotes in the back of my planner when I'm reading, because I read books all the time. But I wrote down, I have 4 pages of this, every quote that I loved from the book. And, find the silver lining always. What's worthy of waking up for today? Feed your genius first. I'm so torn, honestly, on this book, because part of me absolutely loves it. Part of me thinks that every woman should read this book when they're 18, 17, 18. And then the other part of me is like, well, I wish it would have been more clear. You know what I mean? Like, what the intentions of the books are. The first, chapter 1 is called Be a Passionista. What do you want? What makes you happy? Write your own constitution and living by your own rules. Awesome. Love that chapter. Number 2, be first. Are you compassionate with yourself? Practice making you a priority in your life. Awesome. Love that chapter, because those are 2 things that I can identify with. Number 3, be hardcore. How's your work ethic? Stop making excuses for not taking steps towards your dream and start making them come true. Loved it. This is where I started going downhill. Be unpopular. Do you dance to the beat of your own drum? Stop worrying as much about the naysayers and surround yourself with people who support your dreams. I am a firm believer in mentors. I loved her section of her book where she's talking about mentors. Here's the problem. She's talking about contacting everybody you can to be your mentor. I agree with that, but then again, I also think you really need to find a business buddy or a mentor that you really can identify with. They don't have to be the most successful person. They just have to be that person who can give you advice or you can share your ideas with. I have a bunch of different mentors for different things. For example, my boss Stan. He's a good mentor for me because he's been through it before. He's a self-made success story, which is great. I want to be like that. I want to get there. I don't know if I want to get there working in the financial industry, but I would like to get there. I appreciate his advice, and he's very well read. He's very intelligent, so I know the advice from him is going to be good. Even if it's not good, or he doesn't have advice on it, he's still, like, he'll stop and think. You know, my friend Janet, who's lived a lot of life, and she just had a birthday, by the way. You know, I look at her as a mentor because I respect everything that she's overcome in her life. And again, I know, like, if I need advice on something or ideas, she's always going to be very, very, very honest with me. And Janet is one of those girls who I really, really look up to, because on one hand, she will say, you know, Amanda, you screwed this up. We need to do it this way. You know, this is how it is, blah, blah, blah. But on the flip side, you know, she's like, you know, don't make the mistake again, but, you know, good job, thanks for trying. It's a very interesting dynamic. You know, I'm a member of Toastmasters. I have my friend, one of my best friends, Jen Martin, who is about my age, and we have a lot in common. She's kind of a mentor to me too, because she is a girl boss. You know, she's very independent, and there's a lot of things that I identify with Jen. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you want to have mentors, but don't use them as just a mentor, because make it a two-way street type thing, because no one knows everything. I mean, no one is born into this world knowing everything. You have to learn things. You have to experience things. You may have a mentor that you look up to all the time, and they may call you and be like, I'm ready to divorce my wife. She's driving me insane. That's when you need to step up and be their mentor and be their friend. I think that it's very important for it to be a two-way street. Chapter 5, be bold. Dream big, then even, especially, when everyone else thinks it can't be done, put on your big girl boots and do it your way. This is the chapter where I started going, like, nosedive, because I felt like there was she could have went in such a great direction with this book towards the end, and I almost felt like the end was rushed. Because be bold is when she starts with the Mark Twain quote that's not even Mark Twain's. You know, she starts talking about, you know, your dreams and, you know, trying to achieve everything you want, you know, be adventurous, and, you know, just basically being a girl boss, I guess, so to speak. But the thing that's missing from this book that Girl Boss had is that, how do I want to say it? You're hearing a lot of stories of other women in this book, and I think that's awesome, because I love hearing other women's stories, but they're snippets of their story. I don't, you know, unless I wanted this book to be 500 pages, you're not hearing, you know, their whole story, and I think that that can sometimes be important, because, I mean, I started my blog like 5 years ago maybe, and I'm just now finding success on it, and I mean, I've been a blogger for a long time. I haven't taken it seriously until recently. Do I think that I'm a successful blogger? Yes, because I do have that want and that ability to do it. I think success is measured on a personal level. I know people who do not make a lot of money, but they think they're successful, and that's how they measure success, so that's fine. Chapter 6, be resilient. Do you give up after the first sign of failure or rejection? This is where I wish she would have went into the direction of community building, because, and this was something that was also mentioned in book club that I totally agree with, is, you know, having this large community for this book, I'm That Girl, and having such an empowering group of women, I don't quite, honestly, at the end, understand what I was supposed to take away from this book. Maybe it's just me being dumb, and maybe the fact that I skimmed, like, the last 50 pages of the book, because I was, like, literally, I was reading it, and I'm like, I finished this. I was just, like, skimming. And I'm like, the only thing that was popping out at me were just good quotes. That half of these weren't even her quotes. So I kind of felt a little disappointed at the end. So I would say, that's why I would say 3 stars out of 5. Because I loved the beginning, but I did not like the end of the book. I do understand the intention. I just think that it could have been, the book could have been presented and written better. I do think that the publishers could have published the book in a better context. I think if there was more edits. I don't know when she started this book to when she ended this book, because it does feel like the last 2 chapters she just threw together. And, you know, I don't think that that was her intention, because I know she probably took this book very seriously, but I just, I will probably honestly reread this book a couple times when I need a good motivational book to kind of center me, I guess, sometimes. But what I may do is just skim through and just read my highlighted quotes that I have no idea where they came from. But, you know, to me, what makes a good motivational book is, at the end of the book, I want to know what you taught me. If that makes sense. Like Girl Boss. That book, I thought the whole way through it, you know, was kind of teaching you that it's okay to start from somewhere. It's okay to build a business. It's okay. You know, you have to have a backbone. You know, once you're building, it's hard. Like, I get it. Like, I got that book. I Am That Girl was slightly confusing for me, because it just felt, like I said, like kind of like a cheerleading book. You know, you can do this, you got this, which is great if you're at that point in your life. And I'm really not at that point in my life. So, again, yeah, I took a lot away from it. I think it's a good idea. I may, you know, look at some of the I Am That Girl clubs, or I don't know clubs, but, you know, get-togethers that are here. I don't know if there's any or not. We'll see. But it's just an interesting book. Do I recommend that women read it? Yeah, I do. I would say that if you're a woman and you wanted to read it, you would probably take away some things with it. But I would also say you could probably finish it in like 4 hours. Because there's going to be parts in the book where you're just going to be like, and you're just going to go right through them. So, anyways, that was my review of the I Am That Girl book. I hope it wasn't too, like, long and ummy. But sometimes it's hard for me to express how I feel about certain things, because I'm not saying like I'm 32, you know, and I've accomplished a lot in my life, which is awesome. I'm very thankful. But I think everybody leads their own life, and everybody has their own path, and everybody has their own future, I guess. And I don't think you can do things that messes with your future. I think you can do things that makes it more difficult. But, you know, if you're looking for a book that's going to teach you how to do life, you're not going to find it. You know, you're going to have to talk to friends, and, you know, if you're in a point in your life where you're in a really dark spot, there are places where you can go get help to get out of that dark spot. You know, I have days when I get a little depressed, and I have days when I'm sad. My neighbor just now pulled up. You know, I have days when I'm super happy. I have days when I'm annoyingly happy. You know, life happens, and it is what it is. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry this video was so rambly. But have you read this book? What did you think of it? I'll include the book club chat with Lisa Marie and Alexis and all that down below, so you guys can check it out on her channel. It is like an hour and a half long, but you can skip through and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed my review, and I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and kind of me getting a little bit more personal in this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe.